So, welcome everyone to the Empower session. I'm so excited to have you all join this session. I'm Dr. Banerjee, and I'm a practicing hospice and palliative physician at City of Hope National Cancer Center, where I developed the Hospice and Palliative Medicine Fellowship. I run the End of Life Symposium annually, and I'm also a board member on Compassion on Choices on the board of directors. With me today, I have two wonderful ladies. Missy Moore is a nurse, consultant, and community activist based in Washington, D.C. Missy has over 30 years of experience in nursing and has worked with Compassion Choices for multiple years as an African American Leadership Council member. Isa Mendez is a communications consultant living in Florida. She is a death doula and a member of Compassion and Choices Latino Leadership Council, and you will be hearing from both of them throughout this session. But before we start, we'd like to do a little poll for you, our audience. Have you ever talked to anyone about your end of life wishes in the last year? Let's do a poll and let's see what we have to say and what you supporters have done in the last year, and then we can talk about all of it. Can
That's
we
a
have
really good question.
Absolutely. Can we have the poll, please? Let's give it about 30 seconds. When the poll is done, we can have conversations throughout the session. You can put your questions in chat. We'll talk about experiences that both Isa and Missy have had, and we'll also talk to you about the resources that Compassion and Choices has that I have been so fortunate also to share with my own patients and my own family. Can we have the results of the poll, please? Let's see. We're doing the poll now as we speak. And as the poll is getting done, I will remind you that it is really the support of our viewers and our members and the community that really helps us advance our mission. So in whatever way you can support us, whether by volunteering or donating, please do so. It means so much to us and it means so much for everyone who needs options at the end of life.
Doctor, to that, I will add that right now, talking about death is a taboo and still a taboo for years and years and years. It's time to start talking about it again. It's time to normalizing this talk. So, this is one of the
Absolutely.
reasons why I'm so happy to be here.
So, that's amazing, Lisa. Let's take a look at the pool. So if you click at the bottom of the screen, you'll see there are the answers to the poll right there. And as we can still see the poll, many of you have said that you have spoken to family members, which is great. And we want to encourage you to have these conversations with them. But why did we hear from both Missy and Isa? So you both have experience advocating for improving end of life options and care at the end of life. So what are we striving for? What is compassionate death? And how can people achieve that? How can they achieve a good death? Missy, I'll go to you first.
Thank you, doctor. That's a really great question. I've been a hospice nurse for over 20 years, and had worked with families so much, just really giving as much as I could to help them have a good death. But honestly, um, my greatest work was about 5 years ago, when my oldest son was diagnosed with cancer, and I had to have a really difficult conversation with my son about how he wanted to live out the rest of his life. And I wanted to have the conversation with him because I didn't want him to be afraid of dying. I didn't want a group of strangers to come in and talk to him about what he wanted. So I just went in and sat down and talked to him. And after he told me, it was like a relief for both
Mhm.
of us. And then we didn't have to talk about it anymore. He could just live. We baked cookies late at night and laughed and watched television. And he died very peacefully in his sleep with me right in the same room. But if I hadn't had that conversation with him, I don't know what I would have done. Also, if I didn't have the experience of having the conversation, or if I was afraid to talk to him about it, I don't think that his death would have went as well as it had. Just asking him, and not just him, my other family members too.
And
I ask them, have you thought about what you'd like to do if you become ill? Um, and it's the joke in our house, in our family, because they were like, "Oh, Missy will ask you," because I want them to think about it, and they may not answer me then, but if you make it very laissez-faire, or that is not a big deal, it gives them an opportunity to think about it when it's not urgent.
absolutely, no, you've said it so well. And you are a hospice nurse, right? And your son
Yes, I am. I'm
was
a death doula too.
wonderful, and your
Hmm.
son decided to sign on to hospice. So just can you, in a quick sentence, just tell our viewers what hospice really did for you, what it is?
Hospice, wow. What they did for me was allow me to be his mother and not the nurse. So I could turn over all of the other worries to hospice, and then I could just spend time being his mom. I didn't have to try to coordinate things. I didn't have to make phone calls. I didn't have to do any of that. I just let them do the piece that they had to do, and then I could focus on my time with him. If it was a problem, I didn't have to manage it. I could call them and they could manage it. And it was great for me. It was great for me. And even afterwards, after my son was gone, the bereavement services that they offered me still keep me going to this day. I don't know how I would have made it without the bereavement services.
That's
You know?
beautiful.
Oh
That is
yeah.
beautiful.
Yeah.
That's really, thank you for sharing that with us and
Hmm.
with the viewers here today. Isa, same with you. Let's hear your story because I know you have a very special story to share as well.
Missy just put it so well. I mean, talking about it is so important. I can I can tell you, I take like oddest moments just to talk about death. We could be at a gala, there's a band playing over there, their jazz, dinner is served, and I go to my husband and I say, you know what? Don't ever put me on a casket in a funeral home. You put me into ashes and then make a party just like this.
Oh,
So
that's great.
anytime, it's anytime, plan about it, talk about it as if it was your own party. You plan your quinceañera if you're Latino, you plan your wedding, you make a baptism. This is another milestone in life. So we are celebrating life. I, in my personal story, I was first diagnosed with cancer in 2017. I call that season one. Season two hit 11 months later when the cancer spread. So it was 2018, and I was from stage 2 to stage 4. And ever since then, I got diagnosed 18 months to live. And I still fight for life every day. I went through treatments, I went through surgery, I went through the whole process of agonizing, not knowing what it was. Chemo wasn't working. So I was dancing around that area of death, and I started talking. And then I started wondering, how can I do this and how can I deal with this? Because it's my reality. And then I said, no, it's not my reality. It's everybody's reality. We're all going to die at some point. So let's just plan about it. So in my search, I'm a nerd, I'm a geek. I keep on reading and reading, and I realized that there are doulas that facilitate this. And I got fascinated with the concept. And I said, in order to work with myself, I need to learn. And that's how I got certified. Up to this day, in my conversations, it helps work not only with my peers when I go to the patient, to the cancer treatments, and work on our full process of, mental, physical, and chemical process of healing or surviving or extending life as we know it, but also on a day-by-day basis with friends, family, and other people who reach out and want to facilitate their process of planning this wonderful party of life. Um, so if you ask me, what does it do? It is about putting people in everybody's idea and everybody's frame of mind. Put yourself in my shoes. I am stage 4. Is it terminally ill? Well, thank God to science. It's been helping me extend my life. However, here I am. If I ever have a choice, and I want to have a choice, I want lawmakers to put themselves in our shoes. If it was your mother, what would you do? We need options. We need to take control and decide what we want to do. And you have to tell your people, you have to tell your husband, your kids, your friends, everybody. You have to make sure that that is not only part of every conversation, but document it. Talk to them. Make a video, you will go to a hospital, even with COVID times. I was just saying, before you go to the hospital or while you're there, make a video. This is, if something happens to me, I don't come out of this hospital, this is what I want, like this, like this, like this, like this. Plug me, unplug me, CPR me, don't CPR me. Send it over to your friends and family so they actually know, because your wishes can change over and over. Whatever you wrote a year ago may change as well.
Yeah.
So first of all, it's all about hope. It's all about life. It's all about celebrating day by day. Everybody can achieve this peace of mind when your affairs are in order. Otherwise, let us live a compassionate death. It's the human thing to do.
Right. No, so beautifully said. And, as a hospice physician, palliative physician, I feel like the communication between our families and our providers is so important. And it really brings us closer together as a community to really face something that is often so fearful for people, right? So I have one more question for both of you. How does really helping others, which you do so well, in the end of life experience, really inform you about your own ideas of death? And to that, also, what is the number one thing an individual can do to prepare for the end of life, regardless of their age or their health?
That's a great question. One of the number one, well, for me, um, one of the things that I'm the most passionate about is making sure that people understand what the advance directives are, because I feel like a lot of times people use big words and they don't necessarily understand what they're being told. So that part is important to me, that that they're able to understand that piece of it. But the most important thing that they can do is to talk about what it is that they want and how they want it culturally. Do you want all your family around? Do you want, so I know that if I become ill, I want somebody to make me chitlins, I want collard greens and potato salad, and I want my Aunt Barbara to make me a sweet potato pie, and I want all my cousins to come visit. It's things that I want. If I get dementia, um, I want you to put me in a room with all of the people there and just put pictures of my family, because if I'm confused, I won't know anyway. I'll think they're all my relatives. So it's things like that you tell people, so that they'll already know, and say it over and over and write it down, so that if it comes to be, then they'll pretty much have a really good idea of
Yeah.
what it is that's going to make you happy, because in the end, that's really what people want to do. is make you happy, but you have to tell them. They can't figure it out on their own.
Absolutely not. Absolutely. Well said. Isa, what are your thoughts on this?
Well, you know how we celebrate today Compassionate Choices anniversary for the law? Today is also the anniversary of my first season 1 cancer discovery
Wow.
diagnosis.
Wow.
Um, so it's a very important day for me, and it really means a lot that I can be here telling others my experience, sharing, and also helping create a legacy of hope and of free will. It's about feeling that life makes sense and celebrating every day. I always say that all the time. You're going to hear me do this. On my personal life is about living to the fullest, checking everything on my bucket list and adding more things as time goes by and say I did it again, and creating memories and reaching milestones with my kids and having my first granddaughter. Yeah, another check. Or, every now is worth so much after these situations happen. So, you know, all I can say is making a difference, talking about it, planning about it, sharing these conversations brings us together, gives us peace of mind for us, for them, as they know what we want, for, as Missy said before, creating more quality time because there is no stress anymore. Usually, when I was in a diagnosis, everybody was like, "Hi, how are you feeling?" And I'm like, "Don't talk to me about how am I feeling. Let's just talk about normal conversations. Life goes on." So then we go back and say, "Let's talk about this. Get it out of the way. Let's talk about the white elephant in the room, and then we can keep on our daily lives."
That's great. The important thing is that so many people are looking for resources, and I want everyone to know that there's so many resources available from Compassionate Choices to help plan for the end of life. There's the free will, and creating one is really critical for everyone's end of life. And Compassionate Choices offers that to its supporters at no cost. You can go and take a look at it. It takes as little as 20 minutes. The other thing is Barbara Broomley's book that you heard about, Finish Strong. The second edition now has really important information about really inequities at the end of life, because we know that communities all are affected differently. There's that issue of planned giving. So, end of life planning includes your finances and estate plans. That's how we can live well. And there's several strategies that compassionate choices can and help you with. You can go to compassionatechoices.giftplans.org to find out more about planned giving. All these are such important concepts. We have a couple of minutes left, so I would like to just ask Isa and Missy, um, what has compassionate choices done for you in this movement of living and dying?
Hmm.
I've seen the growth of Compassionate Choices for the past 5 years and how it has expanded and redirected and their goals. And I love the tools that they're giving. Uh, the Whenever you go and your tools for planning, your tool for creating the will, it's a critical component that not a lot of people know where to start. And having these tools over here ready to use are important. I mean, it is so easy for me whenever I go to other people that I'm coaching on end of life. It's about, okay, you don't have to create it. Let's use this. Just log in, follow the instructions. It's so accessible, and it's so, it's your guide to personalize it. And then I think not using it or not knowing that these resources are here, it's a matter of frustration unnecessary. That's what I would mean. Why? Because the tools are here. We need to know about them. We need to use them. We need to spread the voice. And as we talk about death and we talk about dying and we talk about living, we talk about not just that, but the life that we use. the tools that we use to keep this going.
Thank you. I mean, I'd like to thank everyone joining us, and I definitely want Missy to put some final words for us. And right after the minute, we'll be taken back into the main session again. So thank you, everybody. Missy, all yours.
You know, I wanted to just let Issa know that I'm so grateful for her life and her story. Thank you. Thank you for that. You're unbelievable. And in regards to compassion and choices, it's the people. I'm a you know, people always say I'm a people person, but I lean in. I like to be connected. I like to be close to people and understand what they are and who they are and what what they can share with me. And Compassion and Choices has done a great job in sharing their expertise with me in regards to end of life options so that I can share it in the community that I serve. So
That's
I'm really happy about that.
Thank you. Thank you, Isa. Thank you, Missy.
Mhm.
Thank you to all that joined this empowerment session. Please go to compassionandchoices.org and you'll find a wealth of information as to how you can help the movement, the resources, and the toolkits that you have out there, and really help everyone have a beautiful death and at the same time live wonderfully till that day arrives.